So this is my video on Unit 2.4 Exercise Physiology Adaptations to Training. So there are different events and different demands. So for example, a tennis player and Andy Murray. The duration of a tennis match are varied, and the intensity can change a lot. So usually it's for a long duration, but a medium intensity. It can go to low intensity, but to a high intensity. The energy systems required are the aerobic and anaerobic system, because at times he is going to be sprinting and other times he's going to be moving side to side of the court. The components of fitness required for him are muscular endurance, because he needs to be able to use the working muscles for a long period of time at a good intensity. Strength, because at times he's going to need to hit a ball. For example, his first serve, it needs to be quite powerful. His cardiovascular fitness, because he needs to be able to last throughout the whole match, to be able to keep up a very good standard of tennis for a long period of time. And finally, power, because he needs to be able to sprint very fast straight from the baseline. Say if someone hit a drop shot from the baseline to the net, and he needs to be able to push off on the ground very hard and quickly. His training needs are going to be aerobic and anaerobic, so we work on the different training methods, So aerobic training methods, there are interval, fartlek and circuit. So for interval training, a tennis player would do around 2 to 3 times a week, because they are either sprinting, jogging in a match. So interval training would be very good for them at different intensities. So the jog would be very low, but the sprint would be very high intensity. They would do this each for a couple of hours each time. This would make their leg increase in strength by muscular hypertrophy. Fartlek training would be done by a tennis player 3 to 4 times a week, as it is the most relevant to a tennis player, as they are either sprinting, jogging or walking when resting. The intensity would be very varied depending on the stage they are at. This would increase their cardiovascular fitness, which is their cardiac hypertrophy, which is the increase in their heart strength. And also circuit training would be done for a small amount of time to improve their cardiovascular fitness, increasing cardiac hypertrophy and muscular hypertrophy. This would be done for a very low amount of time, because it's a long duration. It can be a long duration activity, and tennis isn't a long duration. Overall it's a long duration, but as a point it's not a very long duration. So anaerobic training methods. There's fartlek training and interval training. Fartlek training is good for anaerobic training, because during this type of exercise you are either sprinting or walking. So during this type of training you will train it, you will use it very well, and you wouldn't do it many times a week because it's tiring and build up of lots of lactic acid, causing fatigue. Interval training will also be used a lot, from walking position to a sprint and then to walk again, and repeat it up to 4 times and gradually increase it. You would also do this, you wouldn't do this many times, as it is also going to build up a lot of lactic acid. So the VO2 max test beforehand. So as we can see, this is before he was doing the training. He has a high VO2 line, and as we can see it increases up when running speed and jumps here and carries on. But with training and over a long period of time, the line would drop and become a lot more flattened. It would still increase because he needs more oxygen going in, but it would be a lower amount of oxygen. So he's increasing the efficiency of how he uses oxygen, and also the speed he was running at will go past 17 and keep on increasing until he physically cannot go any longer. So cardiovascular adaptations, aerobic training. So in aerobic training, you're going to be the adaptations that will happen are cardiovascular endurance, muscular endurance, cardiac hypertrophy, athlete's heart rate range, and capillarization. So, cardiovascular endurance and muscular endurance goes together with cardiac hypertrophy and muscular hypertrophy. So cardiac hypertrophy is the thickening of the heart's myocardium. This links to the increase of stroke volume and the decrease of resting heart rate, because the heart is able to pump out more blood per beat, which increases stroke volume and decreases heart rate, because the heart doesn't have to work so hard. So, linking to cardiovascular endurance, there's more blood being pumped out to the working muscles, so they're able to work for longer, and your heart rate is at a lower rate, so you're using less energy trying to get the muscle to work. And this links into muscular endurance as well. So, heart rate range is the difference between resting and the max heart rate. Max heart rate is your age, 220 minus your age. For example, if you're 27, your max heart rate would be 100. Your max heart rate would be 193. If you're resting and you're 70, the range between this would be 123. So that is your heart rate range. Athlete's heart, or athletic bradycardia, is when the heart is enlarged and the resting value is lower, more than normal. So that is linked into cardiac hypertrophy. And capillarization is the increase of capillaries in the muscles, which therefore would increase the gaseous exchange, so the oxygen going into the muscles and the CO2 coming out of the muscles into the capillaries, which helps remove the waste products and reduces fatigue time. So cardiovascular adaptations to anaerobic training. So this is a higher intensity and a low duration. This would be a 6-week training program, as this would have caused a lot of fatigue. The training methods would have been plyometric, interval, and resistance training. These types of training will increase the strength, speed, and power of the player, because the training will do this. Also, when doing these types of training, it will adapt the way you recover. Therefore, you will be able to go from resting to working, and then resting quickly, as adaptations have increased the recovery time between exercise. So the strength would be muscular hypertrophy, as well as the speed and power. As say for example, your leg muscles, the increase in muscular hypertrophy, you're able to increase your power output in your legs, the speed that you're running at because of the power, and strength, so you're able to push off the ground a lot quicker. And with the recovery, it would increase. So the VO2 max test heart rate data before. So as we can see, the heart rate started before at 140 and started to increase up higher. So this is because this is the anticipatory rise at the beginning, and his heart rate is very high, so his heart is already beating quite fast. So when we are training in these ways, cardiac hypertrophy would decrease the resting heart rate because the stroke volume is increased. So as we can see, it's a lot lower it would still increase, but at a slower rate, and would use less energy, and is able to run faster for a longer period of time because the blood is still getting to the muscles at a good rate. So respiratory adaptations, so the respiratory system adaptations. Increased ventilation would increase due to the increase in breathing rate. This is because when we are exercising, our muscles increase in oxygen demand. So to get the oxygen to the muscles, we increase our breathing rate. Also, our breaths will become more deep, because we are intaking a lot more. Also, the amount of oxygen our lungs can hold also increases when our respiratory muscles increase in strength. So the total lung capacity increase will as well as vital capacity. But also the residual volume would decrease because we're using more oxygen. Capillarization increases this as the rate of oxygen diffusing into capillaries and then into the muscles. Therefore, diffusion rates increase, making the working muscles more efficient in the exercise. So, the neuromuscular system. So this is a graph. This is a graph to show the power output of what you would do in the Wingate. In the Wingate test, you are measured on how much power you output, and this shows what you were able to power. These are some of the results we got from Brighton University, showing what our power output is. As we can see here, here's our power output in watts, and here's our peak power output in a lower. As we can see, it's a lot lower. So, neuromuscular adaptations. The hypertrophy of the fast glycolytic fibers are due to the increase of muscle mass. Also, hyperplasia occurs, which is the increase of FG fibers, which are the fast glycolytic, allowing the performer to generate more force with each contraction. The disadvantage to this is that the muscles may fatigue quicker. For example, a 100-meter sprinter would have these fibers, as they need to be able to generate a lot of force, which with each contraction, but wouldn't be able to keep it up for a long period of time, as they would fatigue quicker. Tendon strength would increase, which would help the performer become more flexible in the muscles. The proprioceptors will adapt because they are able to react faster, because, as we know, proprioceptors detect movement, so they tell the brain when to move, and these would work a lot faster with adaptations. And neural pathways would increase because they increase in speed, so that helps them able to move a lot quicker and react faster. So if you're being served at and they have a very big serve in tennis, these neural pathways and proprioceptors would work together, and you would react very fast to the tennis ball coming at you and get it back.